chairs that he's going to use. So.
Are we good to go, Sarah?
Yes, we are.
Thank you. All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the November 7th, 2024 City of West Sacramento Planning Commission meeting. Before we begin, please make sure your cell phones are put on silent or turned off so that we don't have any interruptions this evening. We are going to begin with the pledge led by Commissioner Squires. All right, thank you very much. Do we have any presentations from the public on items not on the agenda?
No, we do not.
All right, thank you very much. Do we have any correspondence or staff communications from the Planning Commission Secretary?
Yeah, 2 items. You should have received an email earlier today with all the public comment that we've received on item number 4. And then also we received a public comment, one additional public comment, and you should have that hard copy in front of you. And then also, as we get closer to the holidays, we have 2 Planning Commission meetings in December. So just kind of want to take a straw poll to make sure everybody can meet on the 5th and also the 19th. And if you don't have your calendar pulled up, it's okay. You can let me know offline. Just want to make sure we're going to have a quorum for both those meetings.
All right, thank you. All right, and item number 3, disclosure of ex parte communications since the last meeting. Anything to disclose? No? All right. I do. First, I'd like to acknowledge that I spoke with Matt Kiesling, who's representing a number of the Perella Estates residents. I also spoke with Terry Teeple, who is the applicant from Liberty. I also spoke with Mayor Martha Guerrero and Councilmember Norma Alcala about the project. So I've been busy since I've been back. I'd also like to let everyone know that I did go out and visit the site last Friday. So if you saw someone wandering around on the branch trail and parked illegally, that was me. Sorry if I made anyone uncomfortable, but I did want to see it for myself, so thank you. All right, presentations none, consent agenda none. That brings us to item number 4, public hearings regarding the proposed Liberty specific plan and related land use approvals.
The project before you, some of you were here on the 17th. Staff made a presentation with the full document and requested entitlements, provided a presentation for public comment. At the conclusion of that meeting, the commission continued the meeting to November 7th for the applicant and residents to address some of the conditions and concerns that they raised at that meeting. In reviewing the materials and redesign of some of the maps, there's only a week in between the 2 meetings, and at that point there wasn't time to get everything packaged up effectively for this meeting. So due to the timing, staff is recommending a continuance for those all to be revised and package be brought back forth to the commission, and that cascading through many pages through the map and the specific plan to accomplish that goal. Very short and sweet. We're recommending the item be continued to December 19th. December 5th, the applicant not available. Those are the only 2 meetings we have. Short and sweet. With that, staff recommends the commission continue the meeting to December 19th. Staff is available to answer any questions. Applicant is not here tonight.
All right, thank you. So before we make a motion, or before we have a motion to accept staff's recommendation, I know that there are many in attendance who may have public comments, so staff, Commission, do you have any questions for Justin before we continue? Okay. Then at this point, out of respect for the people who've shown up this evening to offer comment, I will open it up to public comment if you'd like to do that. You can offer comment this evening. You can offer comment on the 19th. You can continue submitting letters and emails to us between now and then if you'd like. But do we have any public comment this evening?
Yes, we do.
All right.
Charles Opperman.
Thank you. And just to let you know this evening, the timer is not working, so I will be running the timer on my phone.
Okay.
Please do keep your comments to 3 minutes. And yeah, whenever you're
Yes,
ready. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners and staff, I respectfully request reconsideration of the through connection at the south end of Lassen Street be changed back to a dead end or emergency vehicle egress only into Liberty. There have been significant inconsistencies in the uniform application of the city's general plan provisions. River Landing residential community residents and neighbors submitted an appeal to the draft EIR to not open the south end of Lassen Street. The letter was signed by 4 residents and included supporting signatures from 86 residents, totaling 90, living on Lassen, Sierra, Whitney, Donner, Mojave. The core concern was danger to the young residents in the neighborhood with the increase of through traffic. The final draft EIR, issued 7 years later, cites general plan policies to eliminate roadway gaps and promotion of grid-based roadways as reasons to reject a limited local street connections alternative as infeasible. 1 block west, Shasta Way dead ends at the lighted public park, Linden Park. Terminating Lassen Street would treat the neighborhoods on both sides of that park equally. Further east, Spruce Way, which directly connects to Linden Road, providing great egress, dead ends with an emergency vehicle access only into Liberty. Redwood Avenue also dead ends with an emergency vehicle access only, and Tamarack Road ends with an egress only connection. The River Landing neighborhood has small and narrow lots. As such, much community activity takes place in front yards, garage aprons, and on the streets. Closing of Lassen Street will provide natural access control, natural surveillance, and territorial reinforcement. This item was continued in consideration of the 14 residences whose backyards border the Clarksburg Branch Line Trail, a 120-foot right-of-way. Total or partial street closures have already been provided to the residents of Shasta, Spruce, Redwood, Tamarack, and Hopa Road, as summarized in the Resolution 0663 consistency objectives. Lassen Street is 25 feet from my front door. Please grant the same consideration to the 90 neighbors advocating for the 17 residences directly lining Lassen Street, as well as the adjacent roadways, and direct staff to terminate Lassen Street as a dead end or emergency vehicle access only. It's only fair. Your concurrence is respectfully requested. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Daniel Torbeck.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity. My name is Daniel Torbeck, and my wife and I live at 2945 Perella Court. First, I want to thank the Planning Commission for allowing all of us in the last meeting to have our voice, and thank you very much for that opportunity. Also, I want to thank you for having the project approval continued. This, I think, is necessary for us to have some time to digest all this, so thank you. Referring to the last meeting, it ended with a summary including 3 items to be addressed. The first item was the requirement that the design team meet with our community to have a discussion over the lack of lot sizes and home styles bordering our properties. Apparently, there were, by their own admission, 90 outreach sessions availed to all the other neighbors, neighboring communities, where their concerns, suggestions, comments, and changes could be discussed. Sadly, even though we made multiple attempts to hold a meeting with this design team, to discuss these issues, we were not granted that opportunity. We did recently receive via email a change for one of the small areas of our concerns. It came with a take it or leave it 24-hour response. That's not my idea, and I doubt it's your idea of any kind of open discussion. As I mentioned at the last meeting, we were told Perella Estates did not exist when this project was started. We understand that. That project was started 17 years ago, so we were not there. We weren't even here 6 years ago when this project reemerged. But at that time, Capital Estates was started. And at that time, the 1940 plan called for the possibility of Perella Estates next to Capital Estates. So clearly, someone should have noticed that, and they shouldn't be shocked with the fact that Perella Estates is there. Well, we are now here, and we've been here for 2 years. No permits have been granted for the Liberty specific plan. No dirt's been removed. So why can't there be the required like-for-like property and home border matching be included for our community as it was for the other communities? We simply want to be considered as neighbors and treated as the other neighborhoods were treated. We have no intention of stopping this program. We just want to have the same opportunity to match the properties as everyone else has. When they had 90 outreaches, that kind of, to me, sounds like this plan is not being accepted very well by everybody around it. That's a lot of outreaches for one plan. So I think, and I appreciate the fact that the commission is taking the time to think about this. And I would really, along with all of our neighbors, really, really appreciate if we were given the opportunity to have an open discussion with these people. Also, in between us is the...
Sorry, the 3 minutes has expired.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Dean Chen.
Good evening, commissioners. Good to see you all again. And thank you to the time and listen to us. I just want to continue making some comments since the last public hearing about density, the house density on the north side and north south side and the west side. West side is next to the Perella Estates. We heard the density of the median residential density on the west side was a mistake. If we heard it correct, everybody can say that. Because the city zoning code around this north, south, and west side, the zoning code is for low residential density. However, the plan on the Liberty specific plan put the median residential density. That should be fixed. We heard it will be fixed. So I think to fix that, one of the action items is the Liberty team should meet with us, Perella neighborhood, just like they did with another neighborhood, as Dan said. So that's my first comment. Second comment is, last hearing, there's a lot of folks come here to support the Liberty team and said a lot of good words about the Liberty team, which make me thinking, what is that? So I look at their specific plan. Now I started to understand is on the north side, the Bastogne neighborhood, their minimum lot size is half acre. That means 1 acre has 2 units. And on the south side, which is the David Road neighborhood, they put a new unit size is 1 acre, 1 unit. And Mr. Timble told us, not only meeting with us, Dean, we did a good thing for the David Road neighborhood. We put a 1-to-1 ratio. That means the existing David Road neighborhood, they have 13 houses on the other side. And on the Liberty side, 13 units. Each unit is 1 acre. On the west side, next to us right now, is 7 units per acre, which because it's median residential density. Just this number can give you some scale how, when they design this plan, why the scale, so big difference. That's one thing. And also, Ben said about this 90 meeting. I understand that is a 90 meeting. Wow, that took years, not just the months, not just 1 year. That took years to make it happen. One time, we say Liberty team did a great job, try to make things work, which is good. Another side, like I said, took years. Now I understand say why those folks show up, support the Liberty team.
Thank you. 3 minutes is up. Thank you very much.
Matt Kiesling.
Good evening, Chair Delgado, Commissioners. I'm Matt Kiesling of Taylor Wiley and Kiesling here tonight on behalf of the neighbors of the Perella Court. I just wanted to thank you again for the continuance motion that was made at the last hearing. And in fact, we're here tonight to support staff's recommendation of another continuance. At the last hearing, when you made your motion, the following statements were made. We'd like the Perella community members to have an opportunity to engage in meaningful dialogue with the Liberty developer. It was also said, there's something to be said in the deliberative process of reaching out and reaching a consensus through dialogue and through education. It was also said, we're providing more time to allow the developer and the community members to have an opportunity to engage in further discussions. Since your last meeting on the 17th, the Perella neighbors are more than happy and willing to engage in dialogue and discussion. I hope that prior to December 19th, we'll have an opportunity to engage in that dialogue. But I think, as you can tell from the frustrations you heard before me, that dialogue simply has not yet occurred. For a developer that's come to town and has a pretty sizable proposal adjacent to a new community, I think what Perella Court wants is simply the respect that's been provided to the rest of the community. And maybe it was respect that was provided 15 years ago. But I don't think you should be penalized for only having purchased your home 2 years ago. I think that you're still owed that same level of respect, and there should still be a dialogue about whether there's compatibility, whether it's appropriate to have two-story homes at a higher elevation peering into backyards across the way. So that's simply all we were hoping to have, is that dialogue and that continued discussion. Hopefully it'll occur before the 19th, and we can all come here together on the 19th and report that Perella Court is satisfied. And we support the continuance and look forward to seeing you in a month. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
There are no additional comments.
All right. Thank you very much. Since there's not much to discuss this evening, other than the continuance, do we have a motion?
I'll move to accept staff's recommendation and continue to the 19th.
I'm ready to second. I just have one request, and it might be for you, Matt, if you don't mind coming back up to the podium, and likely staff. I thought about this after the last meeting, and thank you for an attempt to engage in the dialogue at the Planning Commission's request at the October 17th meeting. I'll ask the question first. Have you had an opportunity to document the Perella Estates requests in a way that allows for the applicant the Liberty project manager, Terry Teeple, to provide back to you in writing why or why not the change can be accommodated?
I'll take that in parts. So in my first conversation with Mr. Teeple, we discussed what the frustrations were with the Liberty project, which really comes down to compatibility. They have a process by which they feather densities as they get to the border, and they have a policy in the plan itself that says when adjacent to large lot subdivisions, we've also placed large lots adjacent to them so that it's compatible, and there's basically a feathering of the density as you get away from the east and the center. We talked about several options, and there's an email chain that goes back and forth. Actually had good conversations with Mr. Teeple and his designer, and they explained why certain modifications couldn't be made and others could. And at the end, I thought we had maybe reached some sort of consensus points, and he asked us to put ours in writing. So there's an email chain of basically 4 requests that the Perella Court neighbors had. The decision was made by the applicant not to accept any of those, which is why we ended up here on the 17th, a little bit frustrated that the things that we compromise positions that we had put forth to them in writing, all of them were rejected. After your meeting on the 17th, they came back to us with an email that said they were willing to make one of the changes. They would let us know, and they expected us to agree to it. In less than 24 hours, we all had to agree and accept their one change and agree not to oppose. So we got that offer, and I said, you know, it's strange that you'd want to do that. Why wouldn't we talk and sit and talk about terms? Let's talk about what options are out there and come to a consensus before you send us an agreement. That did not occur. And instead, we were just take it or leave it sort of offer, which we have chosen to leave. Again, I hope that we can continue a discussion. It seems like there's an opportunity for movement on both sides, and there seems like there is a pathway forward. But to answer your question, yes, there is a written back and forth. There are calls in between, so it's not all reflected in writing, but there's enough that you can piece together the trail. Quite frankly, we haven't wanted to engage all of you in that discussion because I think it's something that we're hoping we can just work out and come here and say, we're happy.
I'm just thinking, and this would be helpful for my brain, and I'm not sure if my colleagues would find it helpful as well, but I think a one-pager that demonstrates the asks of Perella Estates and then the response from the developer would be helpful for us to better understand where the impediments lie, because right now there's a lot of public comment, which has been great, and I thought we had a robust, healthy dialogue last meeting, and it got us to this point. But I think absent that documentation that demonstrates to us Perella Estates' efforts and where Terry Teeple stands on reaching a consensus, kind of still keeps us in limbo of trying to remember what we said last time. And
Absolutely.
I could only imagine that would equally be helpful for whatever recommendation comes from the Planning Commission that gets moved forward to our council members. So that's just the ask that I have. It's not something that we have to do today or tomorrow, but well before the next meeting would be my request.
Absolutely. We would happily commit to putting forth all of that in writing and trying to keep it simple on one page.
Thank you.
And
The
I
more
do think it would be
technical-
helpful for you to understand really what Perella Court is asking for, because the truth of the matter is, I think there could be easy solutions here, and there are ways to make people feel that they've been heard. We just simply don't feel heard yet. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. And then the only other thing that I would mention for those that came today and those that want to reference this recording at a later date, for those of you that had a chance to tune into last night's city council meeting, I thought that there was really good factual advice and guidance that was discussed on the dais by council, as well as our city attorney, Jeff Mitchell, when it pertains to the environmental impact report. I thought our city attorney did an excellent job of explaining what that process entails in a more layman's way. So if you do have a chance, now I will caution that meeting was approximately 5 hours. So, yeah, and I don't know if some of you were there, but yeah. But I also think that there's a lot to be said, right, about everybody trying to do their due diligence to engage in the process and educate themselves, so it's not just seeming like, you know, we're passing down a hard no or, you know, asking for extensions, but really going out there with our support and guidance of letting you know what other additional resources are out there to better inform you on some of these more technical processes that we're expected to ramp up in our understanding and come to a planning commission and decide on. So again, that was yesterday's city council meeting. I think we talked about the EIR report as well as the traffic studies and a lot of the work that went into some of these analyses that a lot of us are coming to these meetings to continue to have concerns about. Though the Yarborough project was discussed yesterday, I think it's a great example that encapsulates all of the issues that continue to be presented at these planning commission meetings when we talk about smart growth of the city and building new communities. So again, please, if you can, do that. That's all I have. Thank you.
Sorry. And one thing, Justin, for next, the meeting on the 19th, if you would, during our discussions last week, there was a mention of a scale cross-section of the branch line trail and the gaps in between the property lines and homes and everything. Could staff or the applicant please provide a detailed scale cross-section diagram for the commission to refer to? Have they?
Just so it's
Sorry.
on the record, yes, we spoke with Terry with regards to doing that. We have hopefully a meeting next week to express that. I think that's an important exhibit. for
Okay,
all to
thank
see.
you. I know there's a cross-section or some cross-sections that have been referenced, but ensuring that they're to scale would be helpful.
Yeah, there isn't any scale on it or distance. Yeah.
Okay.
No problem.
Thank you very much. And we do still have a motion to continue on the 19th, hanging out there. Do we have a second? Okay, thank you. In that case, all in favor of continuing on the 19th? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. Then we will see you back here on December 19th.
Did you have? Come up.
Sorry, if you would come to that microphone, please.
So at one point in time, Terry provided to us an exhibit that demonstrated that there was up to 550 feet from us to their property. But he was measuring from the back of our homes,
Mhm.
like through our backyards, which not property line to property line. I don't know best practices. That doesn't seem like it. I have a pool in my backyard with children in it. And then there's also, I don't know the length of our street, but there's probably 15 homes on that eastern side, all, acre lots. So each lot tells a different story. Like one of our neighbors does have 550 feet from the back of his home through a piece of Liberty that has a street and a larger parkway and another street. So in that specific case, there is 550 feet, again, from his backyard, his bedroom window through to the next. But like in my case, it's different. So I just ask, if we look at this exhibit, we look at it like holistically across the whole street and under the different circumstances. There's one home that's doesn't follow the model of the rest, and its backyard's probably 40 feet, So we have to kind of look at the whole thing. So that was my point. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Yeah. Yeah, sure.
The other thing is he looks at it, our fence line, our rear fence line. Technically, our property lines actually extend all the way through up into the trail. So just a note, I mean, it is an easement, but it's technically, that's where our property line ends.
Thank you very much. All right, so yeah, please do make sure Terry does his best to represent maybe an average or, the longest and the shortest or something. Because again, we do know that there's some slight variation there, but thank you. All right, so that we will close everything on this subject for now. We'll see you all back on the 19th if you choose to be here. We will be accepting public comment again at that point as well. So we look forward to hearing from you. With that, all right, so part 2, any commissioner communications? None. All right, then with that, we will adjourn. Thank you.
Yeah.